Hello, I'm Philippa Gregory. I've just written book 3 in my series, The Princess Rules, and I wanted to tell you about it. If you haven't read the previous 2, it doesn't matter at all. This is still about Princess Florizella, her best friend Prince Bennett, and her brother Courier. And they're really great friends, the mammoth, the sea serpent, and a few new people for this book. It's called The Mammoth Adventure. You can buy it in shops now. And I wanted to tell you about a few characters in it who are new to this series. One of them is a fairy tale godmother. Most fairy stories, many fairy stories, have fairy godmothers in it. And this one, of course, has to have a fairy godmother in it to be a proper fairy story in fairy tale land. But this one, like all of my stories, is not quite the same as others. Florizella has a fairy tale godmother, but she's not necessarily very helpful. Florizella says to herself in the forest, "I just wish I knew where Bear was. I wish with all my heart that I knew where they'd taken him." To her surprise, there was an explosion above her head and a small fairy fell out of the overhanging branches of a nearby tree. Jellybean startled back in shock as the fairy tumbled head over heels into the bush. She pulled herself out of the branches and brushed off fairy dust, which sparkled as it fell to the ground. A couple of twigs clung to her hair. She straightened her wand, which had been bent in the fall. She was a very small fairy, less than half Florizella's height. She could have been any age, up to about 400 years. She wore a fairy gown in yellow, like a party dress, but it was so old that it was ragged at the hem, held together with pins. Around her neck, she had a number of scarves in silver and gold that floated around, getting wrapped up in the large wings that folded down her back. Her hair was pink. Her expression was completely baffled. "Oh, gracious, not again!" she exclaimed, catching a trailing scarf that had wrapped itself round her waist. "And which one are you?" she asked Florizella. "I suppose it was you who has to have a wish granted, all in a moment, and never a please or a thank you?" Jellybean the pony looked helpful for a moment, because he had been wishing to go home for some time. Indeed, he had wished that they had never come. He was perfectly prepared to say please or thank you, but the fairy was not speaking to him. She glowered up at Florizella. "Which one are you?" she snapped. "For heaven's sake!" She grabbed another scarf that had twisted round her feet. Which one?" "Yes, which one? Which one? Which one? You just pulled me through a hedge backwards without the least notice, suddenly throwing a true wish, a wish with all your heart, into the air. I can't ignore it. I suppose that you're one of mine, though I have so many, I can hardly be expected to tell one from t'other, and indeed I don't. I can't, don't even want to." "You came because I wished?" Florizella asked, trying to get some sense out of the squeaks of outrage. "I had to. If you're one of my godchildren, I don't get any choice, do I? So which one are you? You can't be Sophronia, because she never wishes for anything seriously. She just makes a list of sweets and presents, and she never has a wish with all her heart. Treats me like some kind of delivery service. I told her I'm a fairy godmother, not a postie." "I'm not Sophronia," Florizella began. And you can't be Jazakali, because I saw her last week when she wished for peace for all the world." The fairy tutted. "She only does it to look good in her wishing class, as though I could deliver world peace in Flatland just because she wished for it. Do you have any idea how many people there are in Flatland, and how quarrelsome they are, and how little attention they pay to fairies?" "I'm not Jazakali," Florizella said humbly. "And you can't be Peter Sweet, because he's another fanciful wisher. Raindrops on roses and whiskers on kittens. Not even original. I mean, I can do things like that. Anyone competent can. But what's the point of them? It's nothing but conjuring tricks, like rabbits out of a hat. And what's the use of having a rabbit in your top hat? They always poo in the hat, you know. So days after you've forgotten your very clever conjuring trick, long after your audience has gone home, you pop on your coat, put your hat on your head, and there you are with loads of rabbit poo in your hair. Not so very clever then, are you?" That's Florizella's fairy godmother. I hope you like her as much as I do. You'll find her in The Princess Rules, The Mammoth Adventure.